Are you overwhelmed by everything that's going on in your business? Maybe you have a team, maybe you're by yourself, and yet you cannot figure out how to manage all the things. It's good that you're here because I have a solution for you, and we are going to be talking about it today. I am Melissa Franks, your host on the Opt-In podcast, and this is where we go from surviving to thriving in business. This episode is good for anybody, owner, operator, just somebody that wants to control the chaos in the business or department that they're working in. This is applicable for corporate as well as small business. We're going to break down exactly how to solve this problem today and why it's important for you to do so. I'm really excited to help you get organized and to limit the chaos you're experiencing right now. So why this topic and why now? Well, many of my clients right now, today, are having conversations about, should we get a tool? Should we be just relying on Google and email? How do we stay on top of what's actually happening in the business, making sure that things are getting done on time and delegate without losing our minds? The simple answer is there's a tool for that. And I don't say that lightly. All of you know that I am passionate about not spending money inside of your business unless it's incredibly necessary. The thing that a tool in this case will do for you is save you money over time. In fact, it's going to allow you to move faster and speed up what's happening, resolve problems and obstacles before they happen, or just in time, and everybody is going to operate with less stress, in flow more often, and you, whatever your role is, if you're thinking about solving this problem, you're actually going to have more time to do the things you should be doing versus the things that you are doing, trying to manage all of this the way that you're managing it today. So today we're going to talk about why it's important. We're going to break down some of the tools in the marketplace and what's great about them and what's not, which ones are appropriate based on what your needs are, and really how to go from where you are today, which is basically stuck and frustrated, to a place where you're much more free and organized and effective. So I am not a project management professional. However, I have managed project management teams and projects and programs that spent billions of dollars in my history. And so I know a thing or two about tools. Now, what you're going to find today is I will not be talking to you about the Microsoft suite of tools, and I want to explain why. Microsoft is fantastic if you are a large enterprise that needs everything that can come with their suite of tools, or if you are a business that requires very specific regulatory controls to be in place. Good examples of this are businesses that have to comply with HIPAA, or businesses that are heavily regulated, like insurance or financial services. Then you want Microsoft's tool stack. You want it because there's controls and security in place that protect your information and your client's information. And Microsoft makes sure that you're legally compliant based on wherever you are. They are the largest global software provider in the world, and they have bespoke and specific solutions based on which country you're operating in. So if you're listening to this from Europe, Microsoft ensures that you're GDPR compliant. Now, if you're in the US, you're like, I don't even know what that means. That's okay, because you don't need to know what that is. Microsoft is HIPAA compliant though, and that's something that you might need if you're managing medical information for a patient or a client, or you're in education and you need medical information in order to do something like an IEP or other things. So Microsoft often is the right solution for specific types of business. It's also incredibly expensive and complex. So if you decide to go the Microsoft route, you will need to budget and prepare for the expense of that suite of tools. I also recommend that you understand all of the things that you get so that you can exploit them and use them to the best of your ability. So this means you're not using Google. This means that you are using all of the tools and capability, project management, document storage, instant messaging, no Slack for you, email, all of the things in the suite, so that you get the biggest bang for your buck. And honestly, the ecosystem is built to work together. So Microsoft aside, we're not going to talk any more about that today. What I want to talk about is all of the tools that have really started to emerge into the marketplace when the tech industry just boomed. What happened was early stage startups realized they needed a way to organize themselves and they couldn't afford Microsoft. And so other startups started to appear to solve the problem that these very very specific technology companies had, one of them being project and task management. Now, I had a conversation just this morning with a client and I got incredibly technical, so I'm going to stay out of the weeds. What's important to understand is that depending on which project management tool you're looking at, you need to understand the history of the tool. Why was it originally created? What was the original use case? So who was using it and why? Because many of these tools were built so that developers could manage their tasks and share code with each other and ensure that all the checks and balances were in place. If you are an online business coach, you do not need a project management tool, nor do you want one that's designed for developers. It's apples and oranges. Can you use it? For sure. Is it going to be the best fit for you? Absolutely not. And this is where things get confusing, because if you start looking at things based on price or feature set or capability, you can immediately think that something's going to be a good fit for you because it checks all the boxes. Always ask the question with tech, and this is my number one tip for any single technology platform that you are implementing. Why was it originally built? What happens is that technology platforms grow and expand capabilities over time. It's how they grow their businesses. The challenge is that they start to deviate from their secret sauce, what they were absolutely best at, how they started, and what problem they were trying to solve. So if you're looking, for instance, at a project management tool, and what you uncover during your discovery is that the tool actually started as a CRM, and then they built project management later, what you know is that their depth of expertise is CRM, it's not project management. And so it can help you make a more informed decision if what you need is a very specific tool designed and implemented and built to solve the problem of project management for your business. Off the soapbox there. So what is a project management tool? Like, why do we even need it? What benefits is it going to bring to me? What experience am I going to have? How is it any different than the chaos that I have today, which is email and phone calls and Slack and text messages and voice notes and all of the things? Well, listen, I took some notes because I will get off track as I just did. We're now, 8 minutes in. And I want to tell you just a couple of the benefits you will get when you take this step in this direction. The first is that you're going to centralize communication. You are going to immediately reduce the amount of email volume that you have. Because when you are talking about a specific thing, all of the communication is in one place associated with that specific thing. So you don't have to worry about somebody being left off of an email. You don't have to worry about checking the email and then checking the instant messaging tool and then, oh yeah, I had a voice note about that too. It's all in one place. Anybody, whether you're the person that's actually actioning the task or the project, or you have delegated it to somebody else and want a status, can go in and see what's happening, can engage in the conversation, can make recommendations and course correct, all within the tool. The other fantastic thing is it automates delegation. So if you are in a role where you have the responsibility to delegate tasks, assignments, and projects to other people, you can do it in the tool. So from jump, you can go in and you can write exactly what needs to be done, who it should be assigned to, by when, and you can put all of the details and documents and other things that need to be there. It allows you to fast track delegation and completion of tasks and activities, all because you're able to leverage technology to do for you what may have had to have been done in a one-on-one or a phone call. You can do this anytime. It doesn't need to be when the person is available to receive the request. The other thing that it does, just from a where are all of my data kings and queens, it provides you visibility into what is going on in the business. All of them have dashboards. They have calendar views. You can see statuses and deadlines. You can see when stuff is off track. You can see when things haven't been completed by their due date. You can see when somebody's plate is too overwhelmed. You can actually go in and see, does Susie have 3 months worth of work to get done in 1 week? Well, if that's the case, we need to reprioritize and maybe move some stuff over and solve that problem. You don't have to wait for your team to cry uncle. You don't have to wait for you to get frustrated because you didn't get something you needed by a certain date. The tool is going to help you track and manage that. It's also going to help you, the person in leadership or the owner of the business, really get specific about prioritization. At one glance, you're going to be able to see all of the things moving in the business and say, does this make sense? Are we all moving in the right direction? Does this do what we want it to do by a certain date? Are things going to collide? Are people going to be stepping on each other? Are we trying to do too much at once? And in the inverse, it will also tell you if nothing's actually happening. If you go in there and there's a dashboard and it's wide empty, and there are no tasks, then it tells you you have the opposite problem. So it's really helpful for you to be able to self-serve without having to get everybody together and then run through their lists and spend hours trying to figure out who's doing what and how it's going. It all happens centrally in one place that everybody can see. So what does it do? It eliminates email. It eliminates text volume. It eliminates instant messaging volume. It centralizes all of the information related to a task, a project, an initiative, etc. It allows you to delegate and reassign work. It allows you to align on due dates. It allows you to see status and progress. What it really does is it gives you peace of mind that all the things that you've asked for are getting done in the business in the right way, on the right timeline, by the right person. And it will also identify for you if there's any issues or bottlenecks or obstacles that need to be addressed. That's what we want, right? As your team starts to grow, you can't be in all of the places at one time. And frankly, I don't know a single leader or owner that wants to be. It is a gift to have a team that you can delegate to and just watch the work get done. And the best way that you can have that peace of mind and you can do the things that you are really meant to be doing is when the time is right to implement one of these tools. Now, I want to be really clear with you that there's work to be done. So you don't get to just pay for the subscription and then give everybody an email or login and make sure they set their passwords up and say, go. No. There is somebody that you're going to need to put in charge of the project of setting up the tool. And they're also going to be responsible for creating the processes around how the tool is used. They may be, depending on the tool that you select, responsible for establishing the structure for which things are organized and how everybody operates within the tool. There is work to be done to use the tool, but it's one time. And you always want to have an owner of every piece of technology and every process that you have in the system. So this is likely going to fall on the operator or project manager within your organization, and that's okay because this is what they're good at. You just want to make sure that you understand that doing this is a project in and of itself, and just making the decision and making the payment isn't going to solve the problems and get you all those benefits that I outlined. Now, the next thing that we need to talk about is which tool is right for you. And the marketplace is flush with options at varying price points. The other thing that you will find as you get into these tool stacks is that there are levels of subscriptions that you can get. So you really want to make sure that you understand the capabilities that you need so you're not overbuying. Because what can happen is when you overbuy, things get really overwhelming. One of the recommendations that I make if somebody is starting brand new into a project management tool is to enter the lowest level. I was recently working with a client and we implemented or re-implemented, because they had used it before, Trello. And we started with the free plan. And the reason that we started with the free plan is because we didn't know if we actually needed any other features. And then as we went, we realized that in fact we did need this feature and that feature. And so we ended up changing the plan to accommodate our needs. That was weeks into using the tool for free. And that's exactly the process that I would recommend to you. Enter at the base price, whatever that is. Maybe it's like Trello and it's $0, and use it. And then when you come up against something, hey, I'd really like to see that in a calendar view, or hey, I'd really like to be able to have these be recurring tasks, or hey, I'd really like to be able to use some of the advanced features because it will make this more fluid, then upgrade. It's always there. It's always an opportunity, but you don't want to, in this case, upgrade too soon because you don't actually know if you need it. And as I said at the beginning, I'm not in the business of wasting your money. You shouldn't be in the business of wasting your money either. The other thing that I will say before we talk about just a few tool comparisons is you want to make sure that you know who should use the tool and who shouldn't. Most of these charge a per seat fee, so per person who has a login. So the only people that are in that tool are the people that actually need to be in the tool. So if you have contractors working for you and they don't need to be in there, do not give them an ID. Don't pay extra money for them. You can always add somebody, you can always remove them too. Just really be aware before you start rolling it out of what we're using it for, who needs to be in here, why, and ensure that what you're paying for is really something that's going to be used and you're going to get the value on the back end. So like I said, there are a ton of tools. There are a ton of tools, and I am going to talk about 6 of them specifically. Now, if you have a question about something I did not mention, then I want you DM me on Instagram at _Melissa Franks or at on_call_COO. Okay? Either account. I want you to DM me and say, hey, I'm considering XYZ application. What do you think? The reason that I say that is because I could talk to you for the next 17 hours about all of the various project management tools that are out there. These are the most common. And when I was in corporate, the last thing that I did, I take that back. It was a COVID activity. It was not the last thing that I did, is a massive market scan of project management tools. We were trying to find something that was easier for people to use than Microsoft Project, that needed a project management tool that were not certified project managers. And that was really, really helpful. So I know a lot of do's and don'ts, and I can provide additional context if you're considering a tool that I do not talk about today. So PSA on that over. One that I want to talk about is ClickUp. And ClickUp is lovely in an organization that is heavily task based. This is an organization where your tasks are going to be happening over and over and over again, and you need them to be routine. This is where there's a significant amount of interdependency between team members. This is for really complex actions and activities where there are a bunch of handoffs, where there is an incredibly complex and multi-layered project or set of projects that you will always have in your business. This is for things where minutia, detail matter. The thing about ClickUp is that it is incredibly powerful. So it's attractive from that point of view. It can basically do just about anything, and you have compelling dashboards, and there's a bunch of automations that you can put into place. There's so much capability in the tool, and it's really complicated to build and manage. In fact, anybody that uses ClickUp in their business and doesn't need a one-time implementation that like you set it and forget it sort of a situation, I recommend to them to not implement ClickUp unless they have somebody inside of their team or they are prepared to pay somebody on a long-term contract to maintain and operate ClickUp over time. This is a tool that is not inherently easy to use. It requires you to train people to use it. In the small business space, I think that this tool, unless you are heavily repeatable task-based and you're willing to invest in the understanding to set it up, is a bad buy. It's a bad buy. There are a lot of really good reasons to use ClickUp, and in almost all small businesses, it's misaligned with how they work and what they do. The second one is, this is as similar to a certain extent as the capabilities that you would get in like Microsoft Project. It is a traditional project management tool. It started as a traditional project management tool. It is simple to use. You do not need to go to advanced training. You don't have to spend 3 days on YouTube. You do not need to hire an expert consultant to help you do this. You can literally set it up on your own. You can get some best practices from their resource library and from the internet, and you can just pay for it, get whoever's going to set it up in there, and go, go, go. It's very straightforward. There's some templates in there that you can use. And the benefit here is that if you have a variety of team members that run and manage their own projects that need the ability to use the project management tool to set up their own stuff, and you don't want to centralize the setup of things, that can happen with this tool. It's not as flexible from a customization perspective. So whereas ClickUp, you can literally do just about anything that you need to do, you're going to have boundaries for what you can and can't do with Asana. However, for most small businesses, this scratches the itch for the things that you need to have happen. In fact, one client, we even set up a section where they could track the training progress of their students. So they were able to see how and track how they were completing each of the modules that they needed to do when they were able to advance to a new tier. All of that was tracked in Asana. Super straightforward. Anybody could do it. And it just took a couple of hours to build. So that's really the difference between Asana and ClickUp. There's not as many sophisticated dashboards in Asana, but really it's user-friendly. And this is a really, really, really great tool if you'd like something now and you're not managing cumbersome, complex things in the business. And then the third one, and the reason that I'm going to talk about this one specifically is because I actually had a client mention it this morning. The third one is Notion. And Notion doesn't get as much headline time as some of the other tools, but here's the deal. It's not actually a project management tool. Notion was created in the tech industry to help developers manage their work. So what that means is that it's got great databases for document storage. So they were able to store like design documents and discuss back and forth what to do. It's great for standard operating procedures. So if there needs to be a reference library where you can see standard operating procedures, and again, that's because developers needed standard operating procedures. What it's being used for often now in the marketplace, in the small business marketplace, is content calendars. So it's being used for that, but primarily it's being used as a knowledge base. So it doesn't manage projects, but it is almost a document storage and repository location. So you can go in and you can index and categorize all of the information that you need so the team can use it as a reference point going forward. It's definitely helpful to get all of your things in one place so that everybody can find it. It's easier from an organizational and search perspective than a Google Drive, for example. It's not a project management tool. It was never built to be a project management tool. It was really built to be a helper tool for developers who were developing code and doing code promotion and managing that in another tool set. I promised I wasn't going to get too techie, but I did want to mention that that's out there. Some people attempt to use it for that, but really that's not what it was designed for, and it's not what it's best at. And then, like I promised, there are 3 other tools that we can talk about. The first is Monday.com. It's basically Asana Plus. So Monday and Asana are very, very similar. The difference is that Monday has integrations. It's kind of like if Asana and ClickUp had a baby. It's probably the best way to describe it. So Monday looks and feels like Asana. However, it's got the complexity of ClickUp. So you can build incredibly complex project management schedules. You can make integrations. Works really, really well when you start to get to the multiple 8-figure club. So we're talking like 20, 30, 40, $50 million business where you've got 30, 40, 50 employees and you're not ready to move to the Microsoft suite. Monday's a good alternative for that. This is another one of those tools. It's not inherently easy to use on your own. You would need somebody likely that either has used it before and is a ninja at it, or an outside consultant to help you set it up and maintain it. So while they look very similar at the outset, Monday does have significantly more sophisticated features, which are great if your business is, in the rising stars of the 8-figure club with a good amount of employees. And then the last one is, I lied to you. The last one is not this. The second to last is Airtable. This is another one that often individuals think it's a project management tool, but it's actually not. It's very similar to Notion in that it's pretty much a database tool. So there are spreadsheets. It operates like a spreadsheet. And so you can project manage in a spreadsheet. You can project manage in a Google Sheet. I'm sure many of you are doing that. It's not going to give you the capability that a tool like Asana or Monday or even ClickUp is going to give you. So that one I really recommend you stay away from if you're looking to do project management and you need a tool for that, which if you're here 25 minutes in, you do. And then the last one, and I actually really enjoy this tool, but again, it depends on what you're managing. The last one is Trello. And Trello is what's referred to as a Kanban style. So it has lists and then cards associated with it. So it does not look or feel or operate like Asana or Monday. However, if you have a need for less formal and rigid tracking and you're a very visual organization, this works really well for creative organizations that are incredibly visual. Trello is a really good option. Its user interface is incredibly easy. It's very inexpensive. I think that's the other thing to mention. So for small teams, this is great because you can use it for free for a really long time, and then you can get some advanced features at, I think it's right now $10 a person a month. Don't quote me on that because that could change or it could be wrong. But it's incredibly easy to use from a visual perspective. So if your team is full of creatives, if your team needs to be able to see everything and understand and be able to like drag and drop and move and those sorts of things, Trello is a really great way to do that. It allows you to organize any way that you want to. And there are thousands of advanced features. So as you get comfortable and use it, you can definitely provide customizations and integrations. The other thing that's cool about Trello is it integrates to Slack. So if you use Slack inside of your organization and things are getting updated in Trello, it can communicate to Slack so everybody stays on board. That's if you want it. It can be overwhelming if you do too. But those are 6. And I said that there's many, many more. Those are the 6 that I wanted to spend a little bit of time with you on today. As you can hear, kind of my winners are Asana and Trello, just from a simplicity, ease, and cost perspective. But what you really need to do is you need to figure out what you need. So before you select anything, you need to figure out, how do I want to manage this? What do I need to be able to see? Who's going to support this? What's my budget? Spend a lot of time thinking about that. If you were to come to me as a client, we would have a discussion exactly like that. And then most likely you are going to hear me recommend Asana or Trello. And it depends on the composition of your business, like I said. So a business that's really process heavy, has a lot of standard operating procedures, and does routine tasks and projects that are, a month or more, I'm going to recommend that you go the Asana route because it's just easier to control and manage those things. A creative house or a business that, while you have SOPs and all those sorts of things, they don't need to be in the tool because they're already okay offline. And really what you're using it is for one-time lift and projects and managing non-recurring tasks. So for example, the company that uses Trello, we do a month-by-month view so that you can see the various activities that are happening in the given month, and we can organize and collect the tasks about that, but they don't duplicate. So we don't ever say, hey, the same thing that happened in February will happen in March, because no 2 months are the same. And that's why Trello works really, really well for them. For another company where it's the same things over and over and over again that need tracking, like the student progress that I just mentioned, Asana is a really fantastic tool for that. So I would recommend that you really spend some time understanding why you need the tool, what's overwhelming you, how you want to run the business or the department, and what features are most important to you, and then find a tool that fits that scope and budget. I hope that this was helpful for you. I know that this might be a little bit of a shorter podcast today, but I'm hearing angst and anxiety around how to manage tasks, activities, and projects and stay on top of things, and how you can delegate and trust but still keep track of things. And this is the answer. This is the answer. So something that all of my clients are talking about right now. It's something that we are implementing or refining or updating for everybody right now. And this is a great time as you enter the second quarter, because hello, we're in the second quarter. If this is a problem or challenge that you're having, to sit down and really figure out how to address it this quarter, because what will allow you to do is enter the back half of the year really solid with how you're managing tasks and activities and delegation, and it will help you really hunker down and focus on whatever your growth targets and plans are for the remainder of the year. Thank you for your time today. The best way to support this podcast is for you to rate, ideally 5 stars, to provide a review, and to share this with any other business owners or leaders that you know of that are struggling with the answer, do I or don't I, and what tool do I use in the project management space. Your support and listenership and watching, if you're watching this on YouTube, are how I am able to continue to do this every month. And I love sharing expertise with you and getting to hear your stories. So remember, if I didn't talk about the thing that you were curious about, send me a DM. We will talk about it and figure it out. Until I see you next time, please know you are wise and you are strong and you are capable, and I believe in you.